Click the subscribe button and the notification bell next to it to get notifications whenever I go live. Hey, what's up, family? It's your man, Mark Black. Happy Saturday to everybody. I hope y'all all are doing well out there in the real world and in YouTube land. Before I get into it, I just want to reiterate what the little blurb came before. Likes, shares, and subscriptions are free, and they definitely are appreciated. This channel's trying to grow. I've got a goal of 1,000 subs in the next 6 months, and you can help me do it. All you have to do is on your respective social media outlets, go ahead and click that link to share the video. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you click the subscription button and the little notification bell, and throw a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you think a brother's talking shit, right? But it all helps and it's all appreciated. So family, I wanted to get right into it today. This topic that I want to address is titled, Don't Nobody Want Someone That Nobody Wants, right? We're going to be discussing the myth of Black unity. And there's reasons why I call it a myth, right? But before I get into my commentary, right? There's a brother that I follow on Facebook. I love this brother. He's real dope. And I've actually done collaborations with him. Peace, by the way, CRU. Welcome to the broadcast. A salute to you, esteemed brother. I've done collaborations with this brother on my Mark Black channel previously. So if you haven't checked those out, please feel free to do so. But he touched on a topic that I thought really warrants some discussion, right? Because one of the things I intend to do, and one of the things that I want people who broadcast as a part of Black Outcast Media to do, is to discuss the topics that are the hard topics, to ask the questions we don't want asked, to discuss the topics that we're trying to sweep under the table and act like ain't real topics, right? And so I've got a video that I pulled from this brother's Facebook feed. I'm going to show this video. It's about 6 minutes long, so I appreciate everybody's patience with that. Go ahead and watch the video with me. And then once the video is done, we're going to go ahead and get into it, okay? So here we go. By the way, family, this brother's name is Sean Scott. You can find him on Facebook. Sean Scott, spelled S-E-A-N.
Just waiting on Facebook. Now, before I start this video, let me say what I would like is for everyone to listen and be slow to understanding before you respond. Just think about what I'm saying. Now, regarding the young lady at McDonald's and her brawl with the white man who assaulted her. Now, when you read this title and I say Black unity doesn't exist, because it doesn't. In its essence, it does not exist. In theory, it's a beautiful thing, but in reality, there is no reality of Black unity. We don't have it outside of our communities, and we don't have it inside of our communities. On top of that, we live in a digital age where going viral, likes and shares is more important than helping someone in need. And this is the generation that you live in. And everyone is not pro-Black or did not have that teaching of defend the Black woman or defend and stand together. At one point in our history, Black unity existed. But after segregation, after desegregation, and after the fall of the Black Panthers and the other Black revolutionary parties, it no longer exists. And the government made sure of that by putting drugs in the communities to kill it. So Black unity no longer exists. So for you to all expect these Black people to fight for each other simply off GP, you're living in a dream. That died. Now, when we were back on the cusp, when the media was reporting all these Black people being murdered by the police and it was starting to fizzle back up and everything, and then they killed it again. But then you still have to realize that in reality, We do not have that type of unity. Where do y'all see that at? Now, me, myself, personally, yes, if I see a black person being attacked by a gang of other people, yes, I'm going to help. But you cannot expect that type of treatment from total strangers who do not have that same mindset as you. You live in a generation where people are recording people being burned alive, and instead of dousing them with water, they're putting their phones on record so they can go viral. So no, black unity does not exist. For y'all to demand that they should have fought for that black woman is unrealistic. We don't have that. We never had, well, we did at one point. Like I said, we did, but we don't have that anymore. So where are y'all getting this from? Where are y'all getting these expectations from? Have you paid attention to the generation that is behind us, that's under us, or even the older generation? Are y'all paying attention? It does not exist outside of social media. This.
Sorry about that, y'all. I was responding to CRU and it shut off the video. But essentially, y'all get the gist of what the brother was saying. In point of fact, we're claiming a unity that don't really exist. You see what I'm saying? We're basically saying that there should have been something that occurred that would only occur if we were a collective, a unified collective, right? And CRU said that we have no code. And I would definitely agree with you. But there's some reasons why. I was going to respond to you, CRU. There is definitive reasons why we don't have a code, okay? And I'm going to touch on parts of those right now. Because one of the things that Sean mentioned was that we went into this situation when we got the information about the incident. We went into this really heated, really emotional, right? It was funny. We lashed out right away, not at the pale dude, right? That was the strangest part of this whole thing to me, was that we lashed out not at the pale dude. We lashed out at the brothers that was there for allegedly not defending this woman, right? Not protecting her, not defending her. And what was really interesting about that, I'm gonna try to fix this this video here. Give me just a second. I'm using a green screen here, and I want to make sure that this shit is looking right. All right, that looks a hell of a lot better. The thing that threw me for a loop was how, first of all, to have expected these dudes to just jump in there, make some assumptions that I don't feel like we actually have the right at this point as black people to assume. It assumes that we're more unified than we actually are. It assumes this false narrative, this myth that we act or mobilize or operate as a unit. Because it is at this point mythological. And as I told you, CRU, I'm going to go into some of the reasons why this is the case. Why at this particular point in how we operate in Fortress America, it is not only unrealistic, but should be an expectation that at this point you should temper. Now, I know what I'm about to say isn't a popular view. There's a lot of brothers who were just as hard in the paint on castigating these black brothers of ours as women were. Sean said that it wasn't just black women, although predominantly the ones I saw giving shade to these brothers was women. It was also brothers too, because we're acculturated still to protect, defend, so on and so forth. Now, one thing I appreciated, I watched Angry Man's broadcast the other day, and he said that to a certain extent, black males have been acculturated to be dominated by black women. So you can't very well expect them to all of a sudden switch off their acculturation and jump in there and act like dominant men. That's unrealistic as fuck. You can't expect that to happen, right? Cats like myself, who's willing to pull the steel, throw them hands, or whatever the case may be, are definitely in the minority, right? CRU said feminism did it as a part of white supremacy. Facts. Facts. However, you and I both know that they were aided and abetted in it, right? Because of some attitudes that we hold collectively as black people. I'm just going to come out and say it, right? Because there's no good way to address this topic without just fucking talking. And besides, I'm not looking to grease the skids to make this shit easier for us to swallow. Part of the reason why this situation continues to obtain like it does is because of the fact that we won't deal with some uncomfortable ass truths about our real circumstances here in Fortress America. Family, one uncomfortable truth that we won't face, that we won't acknowledge as factual, actual, and real, is that blackness itself is a negative. Under a system of racism, white supremacy, whiteism, whatever you want to call it, right? Blackness is perceived as the ultimate denigration, the ultimate negative, right? If we understand that blackness is being used for everything you say, can be, do, and are to be of benefit and service to pale people or white folks, then blackness itself becomes a mark of pariah status, of outcastness, right? You become an untouchable in a social sense, in an economic sense, in a political sense, and so on and so forth. Blackness itself is a negative under whiteism. And what the vast majority of us, especially the so-called conscious, woke, pro-black YouTube movement have been doing is asking black people to unite around blackness. And it's failing like a motherfucker. And the reason why it's failing is simple. It's failing because asking black people to unite around blackness, it's failing because whiteness actually provides benefits to its adherents and blackness hurts. We got a whole bunch of fucked up ass ideas about how pale people operate. All you have to do is just spend any time around the motherfuckers, and a lot of the ideas that we have about how black or how white people tend to do shit will fall apart. We think white people are a monolith, that white people move in lockstep. Bull fucking shit. The greatest wars that we've seen in modern history have been between pale people. The greatest atrocities, some of the greatest atrocities that we've seen in modern history have been pale people on pale people crime. These motherfuckers have separate religious groups, separate ethnic groups, separate nationalities, separate sexual preferences, and so on and so forth. That's facts. The thing is, though, is that they are able to unify around whiteness because whiteness provides them a collective benefit. These motherfuckers will slit each other's throats in an instant on a humbug. No joke. CRU said all of them. Either they'll do it firsthand or by proxy. White folks ain't got no problem whatsoever on banging on other white folks. None. Shit, in the Middle Ages in Europe, it was dangerous for you to walk from your home at night to your neighbor's house a few farms over. You wasn't guaranteed to make it back home. And it wasn't because of just wolves and shit. It was because of human bandits and motherfuckers out there victimizing each other. The feudalist system that they had set up in Europe was an attempt to try to provide protection where there was no fucking law. Where there was nobody in charge of shit. So basically, in medieval Europe, the ones with the weapons and the strongest ones dominated the weaker ones. That's historical fact. So it's not that they somehow better than black people and that they all just get along. Bullshit, they all just get along. But the fact is that whiteism, white supremacy, racism, whiteness itself provides them with a collective benefit. And so they are able, when required, when needed, to organize together to maintain that collective benefit. That's all. But that makes all the difference. I have no problem with fighting and defending for your blackness and mine, right? But let's get down to brass tacks. Let's keep this shit all the way funky. Black folk don't want to be black folk. Right? We know, we perceive from earliest ages that blackness itself is a net negative. It is fuckery on an individual, a familial, and a collective scale. We know, we should know this because think about this one, family. Isn't it interesting that even among the so-called pro-black, conscious, woke black people in various sectors of social media, our fight isn't, and I'm going to use some gamer lingo here, our fight isn't to buff blackness. Our fight is to nerf whiteness. I want you to think about that for a second. Just ride with me for just a second. I'll repeat it. Our fight isn't to buff blackness, right? Rare it is that you have the person that actually sees being black as a good thing, right? This is why you have motherfuckers out here trying to put window dressing on blackness. Oh, we was kings and queens and shit, and we the original man and all of that. That's psychological projection. That's psychological defense mechanisms to really get you to not see the fact that they see blackness itself as inferior, as a negative. Right? Because if blackness was truly something they saw as a positive, they wouldn't need to broadcast the fact that they see it as a positive. That's just like how motherfuckers say, I'm a man, I do what I want. You motherfuckers don't tell me what to do, I'm a man. That's the weakest nigga alive. Because if he really was masculine, if he was really a man, he wouldn't have to say shit. Masculinity would exude from every action he undertakes. Just by standing there, people would recognize his manhood. So the fact that he has to broadcast it tells you everything that you need to know about what his real level of masculinity and manhood is. And it's the same when it comes to blackness. The fact that we have to actually sit here and use props, that we have to use old ancient historical references and shit to make blackness look like it's something better than what we actually think it is, tells everybody what they need to know about what we really perceive blackness to be. Our fight isn't to buff blackness. Our fight is to nerf whiteness. And the reason why that is because we ourselves do not want to be black. We just want to be people. And that's just facts. I did a broadcast on my old channel called If There Was a Pill. And I told a story that if Big Pharma or whatever came up with a pill that black people could take tomorrow that had no side effects, and its only effect on you was that it changed you morphologically, right? Not phenotypically, not in your genes, but morphologically to look like pale people. The lines at pharmacies in this entire country would be around the fucking corner. It would sell like hotcakes. This shit would be sold like crack. They would run out and have shortages of it. Because nobody wants to fucking be black. You hear this all the time from people Just regular, average, everyday black folk. They say shit like, man, I'm just people, man. I don't give a fuck about this black and white shit. I'm just a person. Right? We even saw Roly Poly Martin ass when he was going up against Richard Spencer in that interview that he had on News One. Richard Spencer said, "So are you a black man?" He's like, "I'm a man. I'm a man and I'm a Christian." Right? Everything in the world to avoid saying that he was black. This is why, family, the illusion of inclusion is so effective, right? Because if we could give up blackness, we would. If we could, we would give it up in a heartbeat. The vast majority of us would say, fuck this black shit. I don't have to go through this. I can change my skin color, my hair type, my eye color, and all of that, and have 300 points on my FICO score, and I have to deal with motherfucking Johnny Law tomorrow. Shit, sign me the fuck up. So if we understand that everybody, including us, sees blackness as a negative and whiteness as a positive due to the benefits that accrue to whiteness and the detriments, the hurts that accrue to blackness. If we understand that black people do not want to be black people, then why is it shocking then when black people go out of their way to avoid identification, support, aid, care for, consideration, empathy with, compassion for other black people? Why is that shocking? Each black face you see reminds you of the taint that you bear. The shocking thing truly for me is that we have black people that actually are willing to fight for other black people. That's the shocker. There are black people who will give their lives in the defense, the protection, the uplift, and the growth of black people. That's the true shocker. That's the actual thing that we should all be floored about. It shouldn't be shocking to us that some black people won't defend other black people. Hell, that's the status quo. That's how everybody wants it. Because nobody wants to be black. We would give that shit up tomorrow in a heartbeat if we could. The vast majority of us. Why do you think, family, that when an incident occurs, the last thing that comes out of most black people's mouths, not us who claim to be woke, conscious, pro-black, who are aware of the social dynamics and shit. No, I'm just talking about your average, everyday, garden variety ass niggas. Right? Why is it that you think that every excuse or reason for what happened to them in the book that comes out of their mouths, they can name a zillion and one reasons, and the last thing that will come out of their mouth was that it was racism? Even when the evidence that what happened to them only happened to them because of blackness is right there in their face, they won't talk about it. They won't mention it. They'll say, oh, they treated me like this because I didn't look like I was supposed to be here. They didn't know I had money. Or yeah, I lost my job, but it wasn't because, you know what I'm saying, of racism. It was because they hired my replacement and I had to train them. They'll give every fucking reason in the book for why what happened to them, that happened to them, was not racism. Not white supremacy, not whiteism. In this society, family, you are benefited to a degree. To the extent that you are demonstrating a willingness to deny, deflect, destroy, keep weak, eliminate blackness, and uplift, support, aid, provide comfort to whiteness. That's why our sisters can do the things that they do. This is why people like Cerulean and Angry Man are fighting an uphill ass battle because they now have been incentivized to diminish blackness. And they benefit to a degree under whiteness to the extent they're willing to diminish their blackness. If they code switch, if they press and straighten their hair, if they dress a certain way and talk a certain way and act a certain way and think a certain way and try to get as close to being a Becky as they possibly can, they can accrue some degree of benefits underneath this system. They can, for the most part, demand the system's protection. They can call Johnny Law on your black ass, right? They can demand benefits. They can force us, black men, to pay taxes, to pay child support, to pay alimony, to support black women. Not that they care about black women, but they have been able to convince us, a portion of us, to buy in to the supporting of whiteism. This whole thing is a sick joke. The idea that we somehow or another have this built-in unity when the one thing that could unite us all is the one thing nobody wants to be. Don't nobody want someone that nobody wants. Nobody wants to be black. Nobody wants black people. Nobody gives a fuck about black people. So don't nobody want to be black people. And you cannot unify a people that have different religions, different sexual practices and proclivities and preferences, different political ideas, and so on and so forth. If the only thing that you have that they share in common is a thing that is considered on its face a net negative, you're asking for something that is nearly impossible. I'm not saying it can't happen, but I'm saying I understand why in this day and time it's not happening. It's not happening because the fact is we don't even want to be black folk. We don't want it. So why the fuck would we defend it? Why would we uphold it? Why would we want to see it grow? Why would we edify it? Why would we buff it? Sure, a lot of us would get behind any project that would nerf whiteism, nerf white supremacy, but that's not because of an inherent evaluation of positive value for blackness. We just want to nerf whiteism. We don't want whites to benefit. But we're not trying to grow blackness. We're not trying to buff or benefit blackness. Hell no. But what's given us this idea? What's got people thinking the complete opposite of everything I just said? I'll tell you what's got people thinking it. These social media echo chambers. See, because on social media, family, you can go on any social media platform, pick one, and there will be a group of black people who throwing up the black fist, wearing the RBG, you know what I'm saying? Black first, right? Anywhere. Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, motherfucking Periscope. You name a social media platform, and there are black people somewhere on it that are claiming to be pro-black and talking about unification and all of this and that. But what these are, family, they're not realistic, actual, practical groups that are looking to not just talk about stuff, but to be about stuff. They're echo chambers. That's all they are. I'm telling you, as a former pro-black YouTuber here on YouTube, that the vast majority of the so-called conscious, woke, pro-black content that you see is nothing more than preaching to the motherfucking choir in an echo chamber. Because the failure to turn our pro-black philosophies into real-world actions have gassed us up to believe that most black folk is like us. CRU, why'd you say was I yelling, brother? Sorry. I get passionate. You know, it is what it is. I apologize. But yeah, social media echo chambers is what they are. Places where you could gather in virtual space with people who claim to love blackness. Right? The echo chamber. Right? The fact is, family, is that these people, their whole MO, which I've been elaborating on in my Confessions of a Former Pro-Black YouTuber series. So if you haven't watched that on this channel, make sure you go back and watch them. Because unlike them, I'm going to let all the motherfucking cats out the bag. I'm going to be pouring the tea all over the place about the so-called conscious, pro-black, woke YouTube sector specifically, but that same dynamic across all social media outlets. They're echo chambers. They're preaching to the choir, right? And you can actually understand this quite easily by just taking some of the shit that you hear on like your respective social media platforms from pro-black YouTubers, pro-black Facebookers, pro-black Instagram people, and so on and so forth, and walk your ass into your neighborhood and just pick a nigga at random and ask them, hey, what do you think about the Meta-Netu? And they'll look at you like, the fuck is the Meta-Netu? They don't know. But you got whole channels dedicated to talking about it. Yo, man, what do you think about, like your kundalinis and decalcifying your pineal gland and shit? Nigga, what is you talking about? You need to lay off that crap. They don't know what the fuck you're talking about. The average black person, the boots on the ground, the people in the street, John Q. nigga, don't know what the fuck this pro-black shit is. It's got no validity to them. For the average one of us, if it's not helping us to get the bag or helping to keep the hawk off our ass, we ain't interested. And can you blame them? Why would you expect John Q. nigga and Jane Q. nigga? I'm not saying nigga is a diss. I love black people. I love niggas. Period. I'm just saying. Right? But why would you expect them to want to organize and unify around a concept, around the idea, around a thought process that everybody fucking hates? CRU hit it on the motherfucking barrelhead. You gotta show them something real and how it will benefit them. And that was what I'm gonna get to later on in this broadcast, because I'm all about solutions. The failure to take these so-called pro-black philosophies to the people on the ground, your average garden variety, everyday nigga, has got a lot of people who primarily interact in this so-called pro-black movement. It's gassed us up. It's making the shit we watch on a daily basis, the videos we click on, the commentary that we read has got us gassed up. It's got us thinking that we need to be operating more as a unit when we are not a unit. It perpetuates the myth that we should be acting like a unified collective when we are definitively, demonstrably not a unified collective. This is how you can get away with trying to shame those brothers that was there at that McDonald's. This is how you can get away with that shit. Because if you're conscious, woke, and pro-black, according to all the standards on the motherfucking social media, right? Them brothers should have been and jumping right up there. When the average brother, first of all, shit, I might as well just go whole hog. I'm certain when people watch this, they gonna thumb this one down like a motherfucker. So if you're gonna hang for lambs, you might as well hang for sheep. Let's talk about the fact that on some real shit, the average brother these days don't really have much like for the sisters. Let's tell the truth and shame the devils. Oh, they'll smash. But asking them to actually have care and concern for these motherfuckers, that's a stretch. And it ain't hard to explain. Why the fuck as a young black man? Look, I'm so glad to be nearly 46. I'll be 46 this month. I'm so glad to be the age I am. That's not even funny. Because if I was younger, I'd be on some murder show shit. Why you expected to go out and risk every motherfucking thing for a bitch who constantly tells you she don't need you, she don't like you, she won't support you, you don't get common human decency, respect, you don't get boo or dog kiss my ass from her. You think these brothers don't see that? See, it's easy for us to armchair quarterback this shit after the fact, but they was there. How do we know that that sister, now I'm not saying she did this, all right? So don't get in your motherfucking feelings thinking I'm saying some ill shit about this motherfucker. But I'm saying, how do we know what the dynamic was between that sister and these dudes, these brothers? How do we know she ain't shaded one of them or fucked one of them over? Disrespected one of them? Shit, how do we know one of them brothers wasn't standing there saying, shit, I wish I could have kicked that bitch's ass? We don't. And we would have discounted that right out of hand. See, because you woke, you conscious, you pro-black, you know better. So you've been reverbing back and forth. You know, I was thinking recently about this thing. And I remember back in the day when we used to get together and chop, standing in a circle. We called it a cipher. Right? A zero, a circle, right? We sit around there and we called what we did within the cipher building. Here's a problem with that. What you building in the circle only has validity to the motherfuckers in the circle. Everybody else walking past you that ain't a part of the cipher ain't getting shit. I bet you we didn't think about that, did we? No, we was on some conscious, real, pro-black people building shit. And all a cipher was the pre-internet version of a motherfucking echo chamber. We would stand there in the cipher, building like a motherfucker for hours. Coming up with these grandiose ideas, grandiose plans. Breaking down the most arcane and esoteric truths of the situation in which we found ourselves. And then as soon as we did that, we turned away from that circle and nothing fucking changed. Tell the truth and shame the motherfucking devils. Nothing changed. We walked away from the cipher into the same janky nigga shit that we was in before we got into the cipher. There was no ideas really that we was building on in that cipher that we then turned around to our community and made sure that they understood those ideas and we worked as a collective to build them. It was motherfucking intellectual masturbation. Sitting there in a big ass circle jerking each other the fuck off. And that's what you have right now on social media as black people. A bunch of niggas in a virtual room reaching and grabbing each other's shit and jerking each other the fuck off. And it feels good. We got all these grandiose ideas, all these amazing master plans. Until it's time to take that shit to the real niggas on the street. Until it's time to bring that shit to the boots that's on the ground. And then we fall the fuck off. But then we got the nerve to denigrate them, to disrespect them, to shit on them, because they're not acting like a collective that they are not. They are not. We are not a collective. We're seen as one, but we don't operate and move as a unit. You got too many people that benefit from the denigration of blackness. You got too many people that if blackness could disappear tomorrow, wouldn't hesitate to give it the fuck up. Can this change? I believe it can. But unfortunately, it's going to require some real fucking pain. Some real pain. First of all, like my man CRU said, it ain't enough for us to continue to be in our echo chambers co-signing each other. That shit just ain't helping black people. It ain't. I don't give a fuck how grandiose the plan is, how dope the ideas are. If you can't translate that to the average everyday brother and sister on the street, you're dead in the water. You're finished before you ever even get started. We have to find ways of taking the cipher and turning it outward. We need to be able to take that knowledge, that information, and translate it into shit and actions that everyday black people can get behind. Which means one thing. Really, truly, only one thing. It means that you have to be as inclusive as possible. And therein lies the problem. Because another thing you see in these social media pro-black echo chambers is this sense of exclusivity, of elitism. That because they have this understanding that has descended from on high, from the gods and all this and that, and they were talked to from the ancestors, that they the chosen ones. That the rest of them are just blind, deaf, and dumb sheep who can't understand their asshole from a hole in the ground. You do realize, family, that type of shit is not necessarily conducive to communicating information. If you come to me and you tell me anything and I can sense your disdain and your contempt just before you even open your motherfucking mouth, how far you think you're gonna get with me? Let's just keep it a buck. How far are you thinking that you're going to get in influencing me and bringing me to you? If you think that how I do blackness is a reason why blackness is a flaw in and of itself. You telling me because I'm LGBTQ that I'm fucking up black people. You tell me because I might have dated or been with or married somebody who's non-black that I'm the bane of black people's existence, or whatever little chosen thing that you picked to try to gatekeep what blackness is. How the fuck you think you're gonna reach people? Because I'm telling you, real black people are doing all of these things. And so if you're going to get them to care about the one thing they wish they could avoid like the fucking plague, you better have damn well bring some incentives. Calling people abominations and banes to the black collective is not a fucking incentive. I can get dissed on, disrespected, shit on by just living, being black and breathing and living under whiteism. I don't need no niggas' help for that. I can get told I'm a criminal, no good, whose best position is either in a prison or in the dirt by just turning on white media. I don't need to hear that shit from black folk. Fuck I need you for? If you are going to try to initiate unity amongst black people, we are going to have to find a way to make blackness something worth organizing around. We're going to have to take the one thing The fact that blackness is a negative to everybody in this motherfucker. And we're going to have to try to find a way to make it into a net positive. And the only way you can do that is by providing real benefits to being black. I can tell you how you not going to do it though. You're not going to do it by sitting in here in the church of the almighty blackness echo chamber of intellectual masturbation. I can tell you it ain't going to happen like that. I can tell you it ain't going to happen by you thinking that you the chosen one, called by the ancestors and praised from Ogun himself. That's not how this shit is going to go down. The average nigga don't even know who Ogun is. How you going to talk to people about Yemaya and Ogun and the ancestors and shit? Most niggas go to church. If they go to church, they Christians. They think about Jesus. They don't give a fuck about Ogun, you dumb son of a bitch. But you think you so better, so much better than them, so much more high and mighty than them. You so much more woke, conscious, aware of the truth and reality of the situation. Man, fuck you. You gassed up. You done sold your own goddamn self a bill of goods if you think that there's some way without providing real, clear benefits. It ain't just enough to try to sit here and nerf whiteism or whiteness. We are going to have to find ways to benefit, to buff blackness so that it becomes appealing. And I'm sorry, but the fact that there's pyramids in Kemet ain't enough. The fact that Mansa Musa had more gold than any black man ever in the history of the motherfucking world ain't enough. Because in the immortal words of our esteemed sister Janet Jackson, what the fuck has blackness done for me lately? What has it done for me lately? If you can't show your average garden variety everyday brother and sister out here how blackness is a benefit to them, then resign yourself to the status quo. Because there is no incentive whatsoever to change this motherfucker. Pale people ain't gonna change it because they still benefit. Right? For them to hold on to whiteness doesn't hurt them yet. It will, right? Because all things rise and all things fall. So it will ultimately cost them more to embrace whiteness than it benefits them. That's a fact. So eventually this shit will all be over anyway. The only difference is will it be over and we be over too? Or will there be some of us left here to enjoy that free space of air to breathe when whiteness goes away? That's really the only question. Because it's going to go away. What benefits are we offering to black people to be black people? To want to be black people in a system where every benefit that accrues to anybody is tied directly to whiteness? That's the question. But that's a question that you cannot ask if you already believe that we should be operating as a collective. We are not a collective. We don't want to be. We don't see ourselves as that. Everybody on the planet sees niggas as niggas, except niggas. We're in our heart of hearts, the last thing we want to be is black. I often have heard that everybody wants to be black until it's time to be black. That's the truth. It's fun to play like you us. It's cool to imitate us, right? People bitching about cultural appropriation. I'm going to do a broadcast where I'm going to tell you to culturally appropriate as much shit from everybody else. Steal every motherfucking thing from everybody else that ain't nailed down. They'll do it to you. So if the Japanese are doing something that could work for our people, I want that shit. I don't give a fuck if it's them little slant-eyed motherfuckers that got it. I want it. See, we got the whole thing fucked up. We don't want blackness ourselves, but we get mad when somebody else wants to play around with it, wants to fuck around with blackness. It's stupid as fuck. It's stupid as fuck. Them brothers did what they were able to do. They weren't trained soldiers or militia people. I said this in my broadcast when I talked about it initially. The vast majority of you motherfuckers out here who talk all this shit, if somebody just ran up on you and just snatched you up, your first reaction would be to do this. Not this. Why? Because of fight or flight. It takes training to overcome your normal inclinations. I know, I'm a veteran. Used to be in the Army. We had to go through boot camp and advanced instructional training to learn how to operate as soldiers so that we wouldn't sit there, freeze, and shit our motherfucking pants when bullets start flying down range. Police go through training so that their normal inclination to run from fuckery, they're able to suppress that and run toward fuckery. The average one of yous, though, ain't got that. So when an emergent situation pops off, somebody gets snatched up, the average one of yous is going to do this. At least at first. You're going to freeze the fuck up. That's normal. Them brothers wasn't expecting that sister to be attacked no more than she was expecting to be attacked. But did you know that the sister was a trained boxer? Everybody was praising the motherfucking hands she was feeding that white dude. There's a reason why. Because she had training to be able to throw them hands like that. Do we know if any of those brothers that was there had that training? Being in a couple of neighborhood scraps with some dusty ass dudes don't make you a fighter. It don't make you a warrior. We got our expectations fucked up, family. You asking dudes that ain't had no training, no acculturation, might even have outrage and anger at portions of their own populace to be these motherfucking Superman-like heroes. It's foolish. It's fucking foolish. We need to show people that there are benefits to being black. If we can't even find any benefits to being black, then why expect anybody to want to be black? Why be surprised when people start soft shoeing and buck dancing and cooning the fuck out? Why be surprised? If there's actually no benefit whatsoever under this system to being black, then why the fuck be concerned about people who are running away from blackness? Why should this even surprise you? Another solution to this thing is that if you can't translate the ideas that could provide growth, that could provide safety, security, like the Gray Faulkner plan, I think it's a magnificent plan. We need to be getting out in our hoods, out in the neighborhoods and getting brothers on that shit right now. And we need to talk to them where they are, not with disdain, not using high-flung language they may or may not understand. We need to meet our people where they at and say, brother, you like this where you at? You like this fucked up shit? If you don't, I have a way that can help you. And we need to do it in a spirit of reaching out. Not that we're better than them or elite or above them, but in the spirit of, here I am, come on up with me. You know, pretty much the opposite of what your ass see in the social media echo chambers of conscious, woke, pro-black ass people. They make me sick. I'm so glad I'm reformed. I'm so glad to be a black sheep. I'm an angry black sheep, but I'm glad to be a black sheep. I can't believe I wasted 3 years of my life speaking to the same motherfuckers about the same goddamn topics every fucking day and getting the same either co-signing or disdain. My audience ain't them. My audience is my people. to these other folk who out here trying to figure out how the fuck are we going to find a benefit to being who and what we are? How can we take the one thing that none of us really want and use it as fuel to bring us together rather than blow us apart? How? In 2019, that needs to be one of the questions on the motherfucking table. Don't nobody want someone that nobody wants. Nobody wants black folk. We don't even want black folk. We don't want to be black folk. So we need to figure out a way to make blackness itself something that we want to buff rather than making the emphasis all about fighting whites. Because I can guarantee you, if black people thought we could fight whites in this country, we already would have. The Haitian people realized they could fight their whites and they did it. We ain't figured out a way that will only be driven by the need to fight whites, to try and fight whites for justice. It ain't gonna happen. It hasn't happened. It ain't gonna happen. We've had outbreaks, uprisings, insurrections. I'm not saying that we've been docile in this motherfucker, not by a long shot. But as one mass movement, there was niggas that hated Martin Luther King. There was niggas that hated Malcolm X. There was niggas that hated Adam Clayton Powell. Pick one of our famous black people, and there was some black person somewhere who couldn't stand that motherfucker. There was niggas that hated Ida B. Wells. Niggas that hated Sojourner Truth. Niggas that hated Harriet Tubman. Niggas that hate Frederick Douglass. Niggas that hate motherfucking Booker T. Niggas that hate Elijah. Pick one. It don't matter who you pick. There has never been a time when black people have been able to get behind anybody. But you think that these young brothers working a minimum wage job at McDonald's were supposed to go from Clark Kents to Superman? Fuck out of here. Black unity is a myth. And the quicker that we come to terms with that, that doesn't mean that we can't do something about it. But we need to tell the truth about it. There's a lot of motherfuckers out there doing this with a whole lot of lies coming out of their mouth. We gotta tell the truth. We have to be upfront about the fact that the one thing we think is gonna save us is the one thing we ain't got. We are not a people. Everybody else sees us as that, no doubt. Everybody else sees us as that. But we are not a people. Sure, of course they wanted capes. They wanted to see these brothers. And I saw the video. They looked like little young cats. Right? One of them looked like he was like maybe 16, 17 years old. And the other one didn't look much older than that. And they wanted these young brothers who, barring any information about the dynamic that they may have had with this sister, no understanding about their upbringing and what they've gone through, no understanding about the fuckery and bullshit they face on their goddamn job, they wanted these brothers to go from Clark Kent to fucking Superman. But when you ask the sister, because she was interviewed afterwards, she said she didn't need them to help her. Ain't that a bitch? So everybody been spending all these days shitting on the black man. Niggas ain't shit. They won't defend sisters for shit. They can watch a white man beat on her right in front of them. They won't do shit. And the sister herself said, I didn't need them niggas. You stupid motherfuckers. You threw black men under the fucking bus. And it was quick. I'm talking about no sooner than the story came out, because this shit happened on the 31st of December. Today's what, the 5th? And I've been seeing at least 4 days of videos on this shit. So no sooner than the incident happened did the motherfucking diss the black man train get to chugging on down the track. There was more motherfucking black people going in on the brothers there than was talking about the white man who accosted this woman in her place of employment. This fucking transient, homeless, entitled, pale-skinned savage who came in there and victimized everybody in there by putting them in an unsafe and working environment. Niggas didn't have shit to say about that. But everybody and their mama has something to say about the fact that these brothers didn't just jump up there and throw their lives at her feet. Not a bitch. Shar's right. Those brothers work with that sister. They know way more about her than we know. Now, again, I'm not going to conjecture on their interaction, on their dynamic. I'm telling you, I don't know. And I actually tend to research this type of shit. So I know if I don't know, you motherfuckers don't know. But quick to run off at the dick suckers about some shit you don't understand. Quick to jump up in your motherfucking feelings instead of actually taking a step back and doing what every other people on planet Earth do. Taking the data, run that shit through your brain computer, and then respond. You know, like human beings. Not like wild fucking savages who have no fucking self-control. We were slavering at the jaws to be able to eat these young brothers up. By the way, like I said in my other broadcast, that video is now public property. So all of you who felt free as fuck to disrespect, denigrate, malign the character, and shit on the name of those young brothers, you just did that shit publicly. You just created 2 more black outcasts where there was none before. You just created 2 more social fucking pariahs. And their only crime was happen to have been at work in an unsafe work environment where any entitled ass motherfucker could walk up and manhandle any one of them. That was their only fucking crime. You motherfuckers ought to be ashamed of yourself. But that would assume that you give a fuck about black people. That you care about the black collective. Believe it or not, the reaction to this incident across social media tells you that we don't give a fuck about the black collective, that there is no black unity. Because like CRU said, if we were a collective, if we were operating as a unified collective, we would have an operating system. We would have a series of morals, ethics, and codified behavior and consequences for violating that motherfucking codified behavior. And we ain't got none of that. I've been itching to do something to these motherfuckers who have been shaming these brothers, but I can't put hands on them. I can't do nothing to affect their life. If nothing else tells you that we are not a motherfucking collective, that we are not unified, that should tell you. The fact that black people can hurt other black people with fucking impunity and get away with it. They get away with it. There's no consequences for disrespecting the name and the character of these young brothers. No consequences at all. That's all you need to know. There is no black unity. It's a fucking myth. Deal with it. Deal with it. Because in 2019, everybody that I fuck with is going to deal with it because we're going to learn the truth. We're going to know the truth and we're going to say the truth. We're going to tell the truth. And we're not going to just sit here and talk about it in our fucking echo chambers on social media. No, we taking boots to the ground. We going to our brothers. And we talking to them about the Gray Faulkner plan. We're going to go and talk to them about the need to husband their seed and harness their resources. We're going to talk to them about the need to alter the motherfucking dynamic that has destroyed the black family like a motherfucking atom bomb. And from the ground up, we will find some way to create a net positive, a benefit for blackness that people would be willing to fight and die for. That's the motherfucking game plan. That's the solution. To tell the truth and then to act on the truth. Not your motherfucking feelings. Reality don't give a fuck about your feelings. The data don't give a fuck about your feelings. I don't give a fuck about your feelings. Black unity is a myth. And we need to tell it. We need to shout it from the rooftops. Because only in telling the truth of this matter can we actually have a start at fixing it. Sitting here in our circles, these zeros, because cipher also means zero. These nothings, chopping it up back and forth, blowing smoke up each other's ass, circle jerking and intellectually masturbating each other, ain't accomplishing a motherfucking thing. If ain't nobody told you, I'm fucking telling you. So family, on that one, this is my last broadcast for the week. I'm going to take the Sunday off to work on some art stuff for the channel. By the way, this channel is not Mark Black's channel. I'm not operating on Mark Black's channel no more. That's that. That's what it was. This is a collaboration channel. So if you are interested in collaborating as an angry black sheep, as the one that don't fucking fit in, if you do blackness your motherfucking way and you want to have a voice, get at me. Hit me on the back end of the channel, blackoutcastmedia@gmail.com. You want to be interviewed or you have a topic or a subject that you want to discuss, get at me. blackoutcastmedia, outcast with a K, @gmail.com. If you like what a brother's trying to do and you want to support it, because I'm not taking AdSense. I don't give a fuck about no ads. You ain't going to be seeing broadcast after broadcast of McDonald's commercials during my motherfucking commentaries. I'm going to need your support. I'm going to need you to throw coins my way. You can do that by selecting this link right here that I'm going to pop into the chat. But most importantly, family, like, share, and subscribe don't cost you shit. You can do that right now. So do it. That is, if you don't mind seeing a black outcast such as myself, a black throwaway like myself, a runaway slave from the pro-black plantation like myself. If you don't want to see me do content, you don't have to contribute shit. But if you think that my voice is worth listening to and other voices like mine are worth listening to, then show us that. And with that, family, like I always finish it up, I'm going to say that I wish you love, peace, prosperity, and power. Real power to our people.